everyone get one of these?
But she said it's gonna be the best she can. Not gonna be as good as you, so. All right, I have connectivity problems. He's got issues.
We have a problem with the tables. We got numbers on the ends, well, we crowded them all out.
Try now.
Yeah.
It has the potential, but you never know. Tom likes to go on.
I don't feel
My
like
comment was
anything less than 3 hours and 12 minutes.
I like to give the people their money's worth.
Yeah, because you're trying to fall asleep.
it didn't come to me, it came back to me.
Nothing in my
Life.
empty. Got 5,000.
They're not accurate.
Berries are all day today that has come up.
Yeah, I know. Who?
I gotta get Dave to look at it.
Cold-blooded.
ER9, I don't want it, the coding. Right.
I think I sent it to her back.
Just say rotating order.
Oh,
They sent an email earlier in the
Well,
week saying.
where's the recording secretary? Oh, there is none.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
You've been doing such a great job. We're gonna, okay,
Good record.
let's call the meeting of the Region 9 Board to order for May 21st. It is 7:35. And our first order of business is approval of minutes from the April 23rd, 2019 Region 9 Board of Education regular meeting and the annual district meeting on May 6, 2019. Do I hear a motion?
I move we approve both of them.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We will not have our monthly report from Max Munson today for student comment, but we do have two student groups. One is Code-Blooded, which I'm eager to hear all about that one, and the other one is Robotics. And I hear we have a presentation from each group, so unless you have a predetermined order, Code-Blooded, you're up.
Okay, so I would like to introduce to you Ryan, Skylar, Maggie, Gabrielle. I got it all right, Code-Blooded? All right, and they have a presentation I am just pulling up. And why don't you let the board know what you do?
Microphone on.
Yeah, come and present right at the podium would be great.
So when you stand up, wave to your parents on Channel 78. Tell all your friends that you were on TV tonight. Yeah, that's true. You were also live streamed on YouTube, so that's.
Okay, there you go.
Now you understand. TV's not so much.
Let it go. Great.
All right, so we are Code-Blooded. We're a relatively new club, and we're presenting a project that we're doing. It is a new program of studies website for Joel Barlow. I don't know if anybody knows what the program of studies is, but it's basically
we do.
Good. We've had mixed answers from that question. But it is a very long document on the school website explaining all the classes and some additional information, and we'll go into more detail about that a bit later. So our club was started in the fall of 2017 as Girls Who Code. We were a relatively small club, so later on in the year we decided to expand it, and we renamed ourselves Code-Blooded so that we could accept all types of students. In 2018, we participated in the Girls Go Cyber Start Challenge. We placed 7th in the state, and we repeated it this year. We have not gotten the results back for that yet. Girls Go Cyber Start is just a fun challenge where you compete against other high schools on some cybersecurity related games. The mission of our club is to learn programming languages as a group and then to apply them to specific projects. In this case, this year and last year was the Program of Studies project, which is still in progress. We have 12 students throughout the grades, and yes.
Right. So the challenge that we've decided to take on in this past year is to rebuild our current program of studies. So not the classes itself, but the program of studies is stored on a very long document on the Barlow website. And for many students, they're unaware of its existence, mostly because it's hidden behind tabs or isn't something that's really readily promoted in a lot of the middle schools for upcoming kids, and isn't really spoken about in Barlow for a lot of students who are looking to take and expand their classes and look into what classes they can explore for different interests. So it does contain every class, but it can be very hard to navigate. It's just a Word document, so it's 70-something pages and can be really hard to find specific classes and even to narrow down. If you know you're interested in an art course, it's kind of hard to narrow down classes from there. And because of this, it becomes very hard for some students to become aware of newer classes that are attempting to be rerun or simply brought into light for the school. For example, there was a big push this last year to bring back printmaking, and while it wasn't really well known on the program of studies, there were a lot of posters that got put up around the school, and that's how the class ended up getting promoted. However, our intention through this new website is to be able to allow classes like printmaking to kind of get a little bit more spotlight so kids can be aware of their existence and be able to know that they have a few more options around the few baseline classes that are thrown around.
So as Gabby sort of said before, our main goal is to make a clear and accessible program that allows new students coming into Barlow and current students at Barlow to know what classes are available to them, know what they can take in order to best educate themselves. And so we're trying our best to make it very user-friendly and make sure that people feel comfortable using it and it's not just a long PDF they have to search through and find, and it's very easy to use is basically what we're trying to do.
Okay, so as we mentioned before, each of us kind of takes on within the club learning a different coding language. Sometimes that just pertains to what our interests are, and other times it pertains to maybe what we're looking into doing after school for like college and things like that. For example, I love to go into graphic design and web design, so I'm focusing on CSS, and so my portion of the project has been mainly helping design what the outlook of the website will be once the project is finished. So you can kind of see that we've tried to design a website that includes the classes in a really clear and easily readable way, so you can easily navigate through all the classes. We have a filtration system where you can search by subject or by credits, and we want to make sure that each of those things is displayed really easily for people to see, but also to have kind of the things that the program of studies currently offers too, which is a nice description of the course that gives you an idea of what the class includes and what you can gain from it, but also make obvious if there are any summer works or prerequisites or things that this course would be a prerequisite to, just to have that all in one place so kids can know what classes they can take and where they can grow with those classes.
So one of the tasks that we have to do is to convert all of the classes, which are not exactly formatted very uniformly, into code format. We have some, our first way of doing that was to literally insert it into the code, which is taking a very long time. So we're working on a new system where you can just input all of the information onto a spreadsheet, and then it will automatically put it into the code for us. So that's just a cool little thing that we're working on. I don't think you can see it here, but here's just a little glimpse into the actual coding of it. This is probably not the most interesting part to most people, but it's just kind of cool to see.
Exciting to you.
Yeah. Here's what it looks like so far. Right now, it is just the data on the page. It's not formatted at all. It will look more like the nice sketches that we showed previously once it's done. but we've got the classes in the long table. We've got a filtration system so that you can select math, and now you can only see the math classes, or you can do it by grade, level, or length. And then you can also, it's got a drop-down feature so that you can see all of the classes' titles, but then you can also press on it and click on it and see more information about the class, and then we'll also include prerequisites.
So our future plans for this website, obviously we have made a lot of progress in it, but there's still a lot more left to do. And so we want to make sure that we're able to create a good system for updating classes, because when we're all juniors and when we graduate, there's going to be a struggle with handing over how to update the website every year with new classes and making sure that it keeps staying updated. So if we have a good system that doesn't have a lot of, if it isn't frequent default, then it'll be really easy, because in code, if, like we've noticed before, if you've run one wrong quotation, nothing will show up and it'll not be good. So our main focus is trying to find a good way to keep this website going for years to come. And another future plan we're trying to reach is finding a place to host our website, because it needs to have a nice little home so people can find it. And we're planning on covering the cost for all of that soon. And then we hope to run a test group in the fall, and then have the website live by spring, and then by then we'll be able to show you our complete product and show you how well it works and how nice and easy it is.
So we'd love to, eventually when the website is up and running, if you'd have us back, we'd love to show you the finished product. But here's just kind of a little glimpse into what we've done so far, and we hope you've enjoyed.
Thank you.
Okay, questions for cold-blooded, other than the name?
I think that's a fantastic idea. You girls have done a great job, and the club has done a great job. So really well done. I just have a couple of questions. Any thoughts on, from a design perspective, how you want to integrate it with Power School and/or Naviance, or even the Barlow website?
Sure. So one of the things that we've kind of had a struggle with is there are certain things as a kind of student-run club, we're not allowed to say, like, once you are on this website, you can select these classes, because that's something that has to be done through the school, because that all pertains to more of their class scheduling. So this is more of, it works in the same way of the Program of Studies document, where you can just simply view the classes, have an idea of what you want to, and then when you go to your guidance counselors to plan the classes, this will make it easier for you to see which classes, compare classes that you think would be interesting, and then that way, when that time of year comes and all the kids are worrying about which classes do I sign up for, that process is made a little bit easier, because you can easily access and see all of them and then bring the list forward. But the problem is that we can't say through our website that you can choose the classes that you want to enroll into, because that's a process that's done through guidance and the school itself.
And we do plan on having a separate links on the side that have contacts for like guidance and Naviance and links to Power School and stuff like that, so kids have all the resources they need when they're considering classes, looking at like coming into Barlow, looking at classes, all of that.
So have you thought about, if you're looking at this and selecting classes, can it fill out a sample schedule for you for all 4 years?
We have thought about doing that. The problem is that sometimes if you wanted to actually, our original plan was for students to be able to log in and then create a schedule for themselves that would calculate which classes they're able to take with the prerequisites that they have, and the classes that are unlocked due to the prerequisites that they're taking. But unfortunately, because of legal reasons, we're not allowed to do that. So what we have thought about is creating, like you said, a sample schedule. It's just very complicated concerning when classes run and whether you have prerequisites.
Exactly, and things too where certain teachers will change hosting different classes, so it's hard to give kids a sample schedule knowing, and especially with all of the different rotating periods, it can be hard to give a set schedule or even just a sample one, noting like, here's what classes you could take, when that could change really depending on which teachers are running which classes each year, and certain classes only run if they hold a certain amount of students.
So
Good job.
I have something. First of all, fantastic job. I think it's magnificent. Secondly, you may have friends that have these talents, but I have spoken to other school districts, and because now there's limitations with student orientations and things like that, they do these virtual tours like you do when you go on college websites, and they show you the whole building and where the classes are and how everything fits in. And I can envision what you're doing dovetailing with a virtual tour kind of thing and having a link on our website so that people can find you. So here's a link, and you go on, and there's a virtual tour, and then here's kind of our program of studies and our take on it, and a little different present on it and everything, and then kind of directs everyone back, and that you have to go on to the school website to actually enroll and stuff like that. But this is really a great first step, and I commend you for your work. It's really great.
Tell us your names again, please.
I'm Sky.
Gabby.
Your full names.
I'm Sky Pritchard.
Gabrielle Johnston.
And Maggie Taylor.
Thank you all.
Well done.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very
for your
much.
time.
We now have, we're going to ask Maggie to stay right there, right? Because we have Maggie, Kelly, Owen, and Matt, and they're going to speak to us about robotics. I'm going to call up, do you want to start with your video?
We have a little introduction.
You have a little introduction first, you let me know when.
So, thank you for having us here this evening. We are Joe Barlow Robotics. My name's Owen, as I've been introduced, and
Kelly.
Matthew.
Maggie.
Yeah. We're just here tonight to tell you a little about our program and what we do here at Barlow, because we know we're often the corner in H102, and not a lot of people get to see a huge amount of what the team does. We're part of an organization called FIRST, which is an acronym for the Inspiration, Recognition of Science and Technologies. And mainly our goal here is to provide students with experience in like a job-like environment without any of the huge pressures that come with it. So we try to teach communication skills, leadership skills, problem-solving skills, things like that. And those are all the values that FIRST embodies. They want us to get out in the community, show kids what they can look forward to during college and after college. And we just try to give them as much of an experience there as possible. So now we can play the video, and that'll tell you guys a little bit about our team.
This past year, we competed in 2 separate competitions, and the competitions themselves were composed of qualifying matches and a subsequent single elimination bracket. So the 2 qualifying matches determine placement in the final bracket, and the top 8 teams in the finals choose 2 other teams to be on their alliance and for the remainder of the competition. By the end of our first competition in Waterbury, other teams competing came up to us and complimented us for our efficiency and our consistency. At our second competition at Hartford, we had an overall record of 10 wins and were selected to be in the 7-seed alliance in the quarterfinals. From there, we managed to win the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and advance to the finals, where we competed and sadly lost. Though we won second place, which we received a plaque and a trophy and a medal for. And this is farthest we have ever gotten, but our winning streak did not end there. We are proud to receive the Autonomous Award in the award ceremony, and this award celebrated our efforts in creating a robot that autonomously aligned our mechanism to the correct location consistently, and received another plaque and a trophy for winning that award. So here we would just like to present our awards and gift our medal to the Board of Ed. So after all the work we had put in during the build season, it was amazing to see our robot succeed over our expectations.
So the success of this robot was based off of the tools and resources we had available to us. Now, in the first years of the team, over 7 years ago, there was not a lot in H102, the workshop that we work out of. There were a couple of hand saws, a couple of drills, and not much else. Today, we have 2 drill presses, 3 band saws, a 4-foot by 8-foot CNC mill that is accurate down to the thousandths of an inch, and various other machinery that we use to be accurate and precise in our robot. Now, we would like to take this moment to just thank ELF for helping us with a lot of the fundraising to get these tools, as these things are not cheap. We spent the past several years earning money just so that we can have that 4-foot by 8-foot CNC mill. Now, the code also has grown as well, because in the beginning we used to drive forwards and backwards, and that was it. Maybe a little turning as well. Now, the robot will take itself and align according to one spot every single time. We just hit one button and the robot will align itself.
So, as Matthew alluded to, we have constantly been improving ever since the team's creation back 7 years ago. This year marked a few firsts. As he said, we had our auto-align system, which was very consistent in aligning the robot with the rocket, putting the hatch on. And this was also the first year that we really effectively used pneumatics on our robot. Our 2017 robot had some pneumatics on it, but this year was when we really did all the research into it and figured out where all the valves go and how the pressure gauges work and how we should really put it together and make a more effective and functioning robot. So improvements like that will definitely help the team in the future generations, and it's something that we're going to continue to aspire to do and just, keep improving, keep getting better, and hopefully do better in future competitions.
A large focus of our team is to ensure that we can get as many people as we can to pursue an interest in STEM and sort of see it as a future they can pursue. Luckily, we've had a very large influx of students onto our team. This year we had 8 new members, mostly freshmen but ranging in grade, and we aim to spread our STEM teachings to more of the middle schools and continuing to do that with everyone, hoping that more people will pursue STEM. And we are one of the only hands-on STEM experiences at Barlow because we have a very different way of approaching the topic, and we try more to create one cohesive product rather than focusing on one smaller aspect of STEM engineering. And one of the core values of FIRST is inclusion, and so on Barlow Robotics we try to make everyone feel very welcomed and included to the team, and we don't want to discriminate on race, sexual orientation, or gender or anything. We're very proud that we accept everyone who they are, and we're especially proud of our boy-girl ratio on the team. There's a fair amount of girls on the team. Of the 8 leadership positions we have, 3 of them are girls, and it's very important to us that we pursue women in the field of STEM because there's not a lot of opportunities for them. And so if we can help a couple people at our school, it makes me feel good, I guess. It's good that we can reach out to as many people as we can.
So, as we're almost completely student-led, leadership is a very important aspect of the whole Barlow Robotics experience. Another core value of FIRST is leadership skills, which we learn from making decisions on robot design, and we raise all our money by ourselves. So we are self-funded, we are completely self-funded, so we, the students, write grant proposals and actively seek community/corporate organization sponsorships and personal donations. With the generosity of Easton Learning Foundation, the Weller Foundation, and the Reading Running Club, we have managed to pay the annual registration, material, and equipment costs, which have averaged to $12,000 per year for the past 3 years. So to conclude, the FIRST robotics competition has created these opportunities for us, and as we continue to pass our knowledge and experience to younger generations of scientists and engineers, Barlow Robotics, although working with limited conditions, has begun to prosper and grow. We have been and will continue to learn by experience, and as our resources and support increases, the team's experiences and knowledge will also increase. So now we would just like to show you guys a demonstration of our robot working.
We apologize about the lights ahead of time. They were a little dark.
Over regular glasses? Thank you.
If you'd like a bigger.
Is that more fashionable? Thank you. Oh, thanks, Ellen. I feel much more fashionable.
I'll wear the small ones. I don't need to look
If I
like Ellen
take these
Johnson.
glasses off, I won't be able to see the road.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Enabling in 3, 2, 1. So that is what we can do by hand, but that is what we can do by hand, and as you can see, it's not very precise at all. But with
Oh, you missed it.
Is it?
You're moving.
Let's go to Don.
It's a little rusty. Last competition was in April.
There you go.
So with the auto alignment, set ourselves up exactly to the same position every time. There we go. More like that. Auto alignment is made mostly successful by our mechanism wheels, which is one of our design choices that we made during that 6-week build. Disable. That is all.
Very impressive. You're gonna lift it yourself.
Battle bots, and I was gonna.
Only if another competitor shows up unannounced. If the Weston kids show up, we're a lot of trouble.
It's amazing how really cool.
Thank you.
I know we're a little over on time, but if any of you have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer.
Just a comment, and there's probably other people here who remember this, but I remember a few years ago, there was a robotics demonstration in front of a board meeting.
Yes.
And the level of sophistication is obvious even to me, because that other one was sort of, kind of moved back and forth and tried to pick up a ball, and then the ball would drop, and you couldn't, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's nice to see this progression. It's like kind of watching the kids grow up, only they're robots.
Only the kids built the kids.
I agree, this is really impressive. I have one question, which is you have 2 drill presses and a milling machine, and so how did you learn to use those?
So a good amount of it was trial and error. Google's our friend. We use that a lot. And there were a lot of false starts and mistakes that we made. The drill presses, are relatively standard, where you just have to choose the proper bit size and everything. But the CNC mill required a good amount of research. It was an impressive undertaking.
That's impressive in and of itself. It's a great skill.
A lot of it was Mr. Paola, the STEM teacher. He helped us out a lot in teaching us, and then once we knew it, he sort of let us learn more and kind of figured out more. And I think he would say that there are a couple machines that there are a lot of kids that are either as competent as him using it.
Mr. Paola, can you come up with your
Yeah,
team?
how about a shout out for Mr. Paola there?
They've worked very hard, and that's what we like about so much, is that they take the initiative, they learn how to do it on their own. Mr. Rivers and myself, we really sit back and kind of watch, and we make sure that nothing goes wrong. There's a lot more to it than just making sure nothing goes wrong, but they do a lot of the research on their own, and we just help facilitate it. So that's why we're so proud of how they did. And I'm sure there's some video of me and Mr. Rivers with really, really big smiles on our face. So, yeah, we're very, very proud of them, so.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Further questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that the board remembers to come back on Thursday.
What's happening on Thursday?
See more robots in action and maybe a little code-blooded action. We have this year a lot of,
Okay.
we have invited this year to Palooza members of our community, and they have stepped up in a very big way to come and give students feedback on their presentations. We have over 30 community assets that will be here to look at the student presentations and give them perspective from their lenses. So we invite you to come. If you'd like to come and be one of those community assets, some of you already have said yes. You can come at 4:30 and meet us right in the room right there, and we'll let you know what you can do for that. If you don't want to be actively involved in giving feedback, but you just want to come and listen to some music and see some student presentations, please join us at 5:30 on Thursday night, and that goes out to all of our community members. It will be a wonderful evening. Thank you. Wear your buttons with pride.
Okay, we are on to item number 4, which, believe it or not, is public comment. Is there any member of the public that would like to outshine the robotics club? Hearing none. Board member comment. Same reaction with that one.
Going for a short meeting, Mike.
Okay, we are on to discussion and possible action. Item A is the proposed trips, Disney, music, and Quebec French. So I'm interpreting the music department wants to go to Disney, and the French department would like to go to Quebec.
Actually, the music department's going to speak French in Disney. So I introduce, let's do the music first, and our music department, Gwen and Chris, Gwen Whitman and Chris Bro, will take you through their proposal.
So this is our music department trip to Disney in 2020. It's a very similar trip as we took 2 years ago. We selected the dates of March 5th through 9th. They're similar dates to our 2018 trip, which we found to be to have as little impact as possible on the students, interruption of the students' education potentially. It avoids testing such as SAT and PSAT. It's significantly before the AP tests, so students aren't missing class leading up to those exams, and GSS and the like. Avoids school vacations, which we found typically a lot of students are traveling, especially visiting colleges during spring break and things like that. Avoids the winter show and CMEA music festivals, and because it is a Thursday evening to a Monday night, students only miss 2 days of school. The cost of the trip is $1,550 per student, and that includes basically everything except for souvenirs. It includes busing in Connecticut from Barlow to the airport, airfare to Orlando, local busing in Florida, and we do charter buses there so that our group stays together, so we're not trying to juggle the Disney transportation and having to split our group into multiple smaller groups. 4 nights at a Disney All-Star Resort, 4-day Disney Park admission. All meals, students are provided with actually a cash stipend so that they're given shortly before each meal. When we meet them in the middle of the day, we give them their money for the next meal so that we ensure that they're actually using the money to eat. So that includes 4 breakfasts, 4 lunches, and 5 dinners. It includes the fees associated with the public performances done through Disney at Disney Springs, previously known as Downtown Disney or the Disney Marketplace. The band and orchestra will be performing, the chorale will be performing, and the jazz band will be performing. And again, these are our Barlow's curricular music ensembles. It also includes the fees for the Disney Teaching Artist Workshops, which for my students, it was their favorite thing about the trip. The Disney Sings workshop, the entire chorale participated in, and they worked with a Disney Performing Arts cast member on doing the voice dubbing for a scene from a Disney film, including singing the music, and then they actually got to see the recording of that scene from the film later with their voices replacing the actors. It was a really neat experience. And the band and orchestra participates in the Your Instrumental workshop. Do you want to?
Similar thing where they rehearse with a Disney musician, a professional musician who works at Disney. They spend some time in rehearsal, learning some new music kind of on the spot that then they record, and is synced to an actual video, a scene from a Disney.
It also includes instrument fees, baggage fees for the large instruments, as well as rental fees for oversized instruments, because you don't really want to take a double bass on a plane. It also includes all taxes and gratuities, and personally the most valuable to me is a tour operator escort. We travel with Doug Bennett of Bennett Student Travel, and he actually is with us the entire time, and he helps us with all manner, everything. He's really an invaluable resource. Things such as, last time we went, we had a few students that weren't feeling very well, and he would run out and get them take out chicken soup, and things like that, so that, you know, we really could take care of our needs, so that Chris and I could worry about our ensembles and trust that anything that we didn't expect was able to be handled. Our itinerary is as follows, and again, this is rough itinerary because we don't actually have all our Disney performance assignments yet. But Thursday is a travel day. We do depart near the end of the school day. Friday, we plan to go to Magic Kingdom, and that's the day that the chorale will perform. Saturday, we go to Hollywood Studios. That's the day the band and orchestra perform. Sunday, we go to Epcot Center, and that's when the workshops take place, as well as the jazz band performance. And then Monday, we spend the morning in Animal Kingdom and then depart in the afternoon to return home. The educational purpose is twofold. The Disney performance experience is really astounding because it's a high-pressure performance, but you're supported by Disney professionals, Disney sound technicians, Disney lighting technicians. You're performing, even though it is Orlando, Florida, it's really a global stage because you have people from all over the world coming to watch your performance. Some of my students were saying it was really fun because I talked with them about the repertoire we were presenting to appeal to our audience as much as possible, knowing that they were going to be a global audience, but also knowing that they're families that are on vacation and maybe don't necessarily want to listen to highbrow choral music, but that it still needs to be music that is of value to our students to perform. And then students, again, through the workshops, have the opportunity to work with the Disney teaching artists on preparing and recording the scene from the Disney film. So they're doing a professional recording session sort of thing. I mean, things like a student coughed in the background and we had to do another take. And then a door opened at one point, we had to do another take. And so learning that, you have to do it 87 times in a row, exactly the same every time so that it can be edited together. And that is our presentation. Any questions?
I may have missed it at the front, and the time, the dates?
March 5th through 9th, and again, that's a Thursday evening through a Monday evening.
Okay.
How many students do you expect to have with you?
Last time we traveled, we had 92, I believe. We expect it to be about the same.
How many chaperones?
Last time we had 8 chaperones.
Yep.
So,
Is there a
and
number
they're all
per
staff
student?
members.
Certain number of chaperones per student?
I mean, the guideline is 10 to 1. So, I mean, some of our, logistics-wise, the thing that worked out the best for us with that group was because they stay mostly in rooms of 4, so each chaperone would either have 2 rooms of 4 or 3 rooms of 4, so each chaperone would be responsible for 8 or 12 kids.
And is there any cancellation insurance?
That's Bennett Student Travel, the travel planner that we use, they offer it.
And they also provide a guideline for, which we will provide to students as well, of if they withdraw by this date, here's the potential penalty if they withdraw by this date. But they can also get travel insurance that would cover them in the event of illness or injury, something like that.
But I assume you'll offer some sort of fundraisers. There'll be
Yes.
students with poinsettias lined all in their living rooms again. and
Exactly.
stuff. That's the way to pay for the trip.
Correct.
Right. Does the fee cover those little Disney pins? Or
It does not. It does cover the hassle at the airport when somebody forgets to take one out of their pocket, however.
I knew you knew where I was
And
going.
in case you're wondering, yes, there is a story behind that.
As long as you don't do It's a Small World,
No problem. I can pledge that. We will.
okay, good, good.
Okay, so do we want to take these one at a time? Someone want to make a motion
Move that we
to,
approve this trip as presented.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
Yes. Is there a standard form that we're gonna have the student fill out?
So
Normally do that?
there's a standard,
Yeah.
the school field trip form
Right.
that students use for, for any field trip. We use that form.
I think
As
we-
well as permission to travel with medication, things that we carry as the directors of the trip versus things that students are allowed to carry themselves, such as EpiPens, rescue inhalers. So,
We modified all that paperwork a couple of years ago with the French trip or something, I think, right? And it's all pretty much in order, I think.
Just like to have it on record.
No, no, it's good to ask. Anyone want to give the music teachers any more of a hard time, or? No? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous.
thank you.
very much.
Have fun at Disney.
Great time.
Brave teachers. Thank you.
I would like to introduce Mr. Ed Smith, who will speak to you about Quebec.
For another round.
This is someone we can give a hard time.
Yes.
Why isn't he monsieur?
I may vote no.
Thank you.
in honor of Kathy.
Well,
Even the Florida trips.
So I'm here to present our biennial trip to Quebec, Canada, Quebec City. The dates are on the front page there, February 13th to February 16th. It coincides with our February vacation. We would miss one day of school, so we leave on the 13th in the morning, and then come back on the 16th, which is the Sunday, and then the students will have Monday as a recovery day from all of the dog sledding and other winter activities we're going to subject them to. So if you take a look, this is the proposed itinerary. So we will gather very early in the morning, about 5:30 a.m. We'll take our bus up to Quebec. It is a coach bus that is just for our group alone. Once we arrive, we're going to experience a 3D animation presentation about the history of Quebec. We'll also have dinner together as a group at the restaurant Tournebroche. We'll also get a ferry cruise ride across the St. Lawrence River. Hopefully we don't get stuck on the other side, as we did one year with the great ice blocks coming down. This original itinerary, because we were batting ideas back and forth, has it marked that we're going to be staying in a hotel, but we've actually decided to switch that back to where the students will stay with host families, just because it's a more valuable experience from a linguistic point of view. So students will stay either in 2 or 3 students per household. These are families that are remunerated for opening up their homes to these students, and they provide them an opportunity to use the language, experience the culture firsthand. So better than hanging out in a hotel with cranky chaperones, as it were. The next day we wake up bright and early, so we'll meet the group at a central point in the center of the town, in the center of the city, and they're going to get a chance to actually train where Cirque du Soleil trains and do all of their acrobatics. So this is the École de Cirque de Québec. We'll visit the Quartier Petit Champlain. Of course, a trip to Quebec is not complete without some poutine, some fries and cheese curds and gravy. Visit to the Parc de la Chute Montmorency, which is reputed to be haunted. They have their own white lady, just like Easton does, so go figure. Some dog sledding, and then we'll go to a sugar shack where they'll get to learn about the process of making maple syrup, their staple. And then they'll go back with their families to have dinner and learn more about the culture. The next day, we'll meet. They'll have breakfast with the families. We're going to visit the Hôtel de Glace, and then we'll go to visit the Vacances Valcartier, Village Vacances Valcartier. It's the biggest snow tubing, snow rafting park in Quebec. We'll then have an opportunity to go visit the Winter Carnival, which is what you do when it snows, 5 months out of the year up in Canada. We'll have a crepe dinner, go to see the carnival parade, and then head back to our families. The last day is Sunday, February 16th, where we'll gather. We'll have another interactive presentation at the Military Museum, where we'll learn about the British conquest of Canada and how the French lost the colony to the British. And then we'll board our bus, which is about noon, and then we come back to the States at about 9, 10 o'clock that evening. So then they'll have one more day of rest before they have to go to school. So all of the details you'll find on the back page. We've decided as a group, as a team with the other chaperones, to limit the group to 40 students. It tends to be a manageable number. At that level, we have a 1 to 8 chaperone ratio. So if we have 40, we'll have 5 chaperones. If we're in the 32 to 39, we'll have 4 chaperones. As you can see, it's tiered pricing based on the number of participants. Our bus won't be combined with any other school groups. It's just Joel Barlow. We do offer a insurance program as a part of the cost, so it's built into this cost that you see here. It covers trip cancellation, interruption, should there be some reason that some sort of events force us to cancel, or the participant can even cancel for any reason, and they'll get up to 75% if there's an illness, death in the family, something preceding the trip. And so we have that included in the price. It also includes the motor coach, the homestay. We're going to replace the hotel with the homestay. Breakfast, lunch, and dinners while we're there. All of the activities that were mentioned in the itinerary, as well as the visit to the Carnaval. We will have our own bilingual tour guide. So in addition to the 5 chaperones, we actually have another adult who helps us and manages our activities and gets us to where we need to be on time. And that's about it. The only thing it doesn't cover would be the meals that we maybe get on the bus on the way up and on the way back, as well as a tip that we like to provide to the tour director, the guide, and as well as the bus driver, and then any spending money that the students want to spend while they're up there. So this will be our my 10th, I believe Barlow's 6th time going to Quebec. So.
And you keep coming back.
I keep coming back. My wife keeps asking me, what's wrong with you? And especially that it's during Valentine's Day. I think that's the biggest thing.
It wasn't always in the middle of winter, was it? Or was it?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, we try to hit the carnival because it's such a big cultural draw for the region.
How are the host families selected?
So they use a company that goes through a very rigorous screening process. So they're interviewed, and they're interviewed annually. I could get you more information on that if you wanted, but they do go through a pretty rigorous process of screening. So what we do is we provide the tour company with all of the statistical information, boys, girls, ages, interests, who's going to be going with whom, and then they provide us with a list of potential families, and we actually do the matching of what students go where. So we take into consideration pet aversions, food allergies, who's already in the house, do they already have teenagers, those types of things. And so we decide the placements.
How do they get back and forth to their host families?
Yeah, so we have a central meeting place. It's generally the parking lot of a supermarket, and so the families will drive them from the house to the pickup point in the morning, and then we'll also come back in the evening to pick them up for dinner.
I thought he was going to say dog sled.
Skates.
Any other questions?
That covers the things.
What do you do with all the Canadian money when you get back home? So
Yeah, that's a question. We tell the kids, look, you don't need to take out a lot of money, but somebody obviously does, and then we say, well, you got a pretty souvenir that, it's made of plastic, so not too bad. Won't get ruined.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Move that we approve.
We have to hear the motion for, everyone who's watching on
I move that
TV.
we approve this as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
A great time.
Aye, thank you. Okay. Thank you. We're on to item B, which is graduation update, and there's an email that flew back and forth that I didn't see. But yes, this is just the typical yearly update heading into graduation that assures the board that all of our students are either graduating or on a course to graduate, and kind of lays out, the path that we have for them.
Getting people to the finish line June 12th, 5 PM. And I invited Paula, who can give you specifics of numbers of students that we are a little concerned about and plans we have.
We have 232 seniors. Currently, 9 students are in danger of not graduating. That's a high number. Most of them will get to the finish line. We know for a fact that 2 students are not graduating. We have 2 students who are going to work as opposed to going to college. 3 students doing gap years, ranging from blogging in Europe to traveling for a semester before going to college. 1 student entering military, 1 student doing a 5th year, which is a planned 5th year. So that leaves us 214 students who are attending 2 or 4-year colleges. And we have, at this point, 99.9% of our students have a plan. 1 student is still in flux. There was a meeting today. So we anticipate that that student will have a plan, but nothing had been confirmed prior to my coming to the meeting tonight. So we feel like it was a really strong year in college admissions. We had really some very strong student candidates, a high percentage of students who received or are attending their first choice school, and I will have those statistics for you in the fall because students are still getting off of their wait list and changing their decisions. So it's a moving target between May 1st and August. So when we get that final number, I'll be able to give those statistics. Do you have any questions?
So, yeah, when we say there's 9 in danger, obviously we're hoping all 9 are gonna make it, but.
We know 2 were not, so we're hoping 7 more will.
Oh, so the 9 includes the 2?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay, that's different, okay. And just, so we do not allow students to walk if they're not gonna graduate, is that correct?
Correct.
They have to be graduated by June 12th, so they.
All work completed,
completed.
grades finalized by June 12th.
Okay, so, for those students who may be in danger, there's plans in place, or there will be plans in place to have them graduate during the summer? Or would you feel that some of them may come back?
So let me back it up a little bit. Of the 9 students who are in danger of not graduating, 2 we know cannot make it across the finish line. They will have a plan to either come back and do the 2 courses or the 1 course that they need. The 7 other students have been met with families, counselors, teachers. There's a plan. The question is whether or not the students complete the work. So senior exams are earlier than underclassmen exams. So we have 4 days before that graduation window to confirm whether or not they have completed their work. And then we will know what their plan is moving forward if they don't. It is anticipated that at least 6 of the 7 are going to make it. There's 1 in question, and every year these kids just, at the last minute, decide to do all that work that they held off doing, and enough to get that 60 grade point average to get the D-. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, That's great, and obviously, we're rooting for all of our students. I was asking more just so if we knew that there was a group that were coming back next year, that we're gonna need multiple, but we don't anticipate more than a couple or a few that could happen. We're hoping that most of them are gonna make it, and those who don't can probably finish up in the summer.
Traditionally, if it's a course that's held them up from graduating, a lot of times students will do a dual enrollment course in the fall, so they'll actually go to NCC or Housatonic and take a course, and then they'll get 1 college credit or 3 college credits, and then we'll float them 1 high school credit. That's what dual enrollment does. They may do an online. We might have a student who chooses a GED because they aren't feeling that they want to do the work. It really varies. But every plan is made with the counselor, the family, and the student.
That's great. That's great. Any further questions for Paul?
Is the percentage of at-risk, is that high? I can't recall from past years.
I don't think so. I think, we generally have, earlier at the end of third quarter, we sent out letters to families saying your child is in danger, and there was a lot more than 9. And of course, that lights the fire. The parents are like, what do you mean? And so the kids kick it up. But we do it early so that we have time. As of today, there's still 9 that are sort of struggling to get the work in. That doesn't mean they won't. I don't think it's any higher than any other year.
Questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Can I put in a robotics plug, even though I'm not a member of the community?
Do you have one of these medals?
No, but maybe my son does. I just want to say to the board that my son was one of the founding members of the robotics team 7 years ago. He is a third-year engineering student at Purdue, president of their robotics team. He's the one who notified me how amazing Barlow did. They're such a network. He's so excited for them that they've gotten more funding and they've been able to do. So I really commend Mr. Rivers and Mr. Paola because the hours that they put in with those students is phenomenal. So I just want to say thank you to the board for supporting them. It's an amazing thing. They compete against Shelton. Shelton is parent-led, auto body. People spray the robot. It looks like a Corvette. They have engineers that design it. So our kids really, they do great work. So thank you. Just had to say that.
And a plus to our parents, because we have amazing advisors, a very generous community, but the program can't run without parents running their kids back and forth. I see Mrs. O'Reilly there.
Cooking
And,
dinners every
helping,
night of the
feeding
week.
them, because there's very late nights. So it is a
Yeah, it's a
community
great-
effort with the students doing the work.
It is. So kudos to the robotics. I love them.
Great, thank you. Okay. We are on to item C, which is Building Committee for a Campus Improvement Project. In the past, when we've done major projects here at Barlow, we've been very successful by utilizing a building committee. Or inspired. Yeah. So I think that it's proper form, it's good form for us to establish a building committee for the campus improvements, which will take place this summer. And so, as with any committee, the chair has to name them at a public meeting. So we're going to put Gwen, Paul, Chris, Todd, Suzanne Crivet as a member of the public. And as with any committee, I'm ex officio, so.
But it's okay, because he doesn't talk during the meeting.
I hardly say a word.
Come on, really?
I just watch. Yeah.
I need to see that.
my area of expertise, so.
Those of you who are not named can consider yourselves lucky.
Okay.
It's a fine committee.
It is, I agree, Vince.
Okay, so now we are on to campus improvement project overview. And I will throw that to Mr. Coppinger to lead off, to give us a little kind of overview of, not, the planned work, I think we all basically have a pretty good handle on the scope, but maybe just a little bit of the process moving forward and how we're going to carry it out.
All right, well, so we had our first meeting, basically the school and Gale Associates and AJ Construction the other day to iron out some of the details that still need to be worked out, bonding issues, insurance, scheduling. Essentially, we're going to have weekly update meetings. Gail will be taking notes for those, and they will be held on Mondays at 3 o'clock. The intent for Gail is to come in, examine the property for a few hours, and then be prepared to discuss things at the meeting, progress. They will have an additional on-site presence on Thursdays. There'll be no official meeting for that, but they want to be here. And there will be other times when Gail will be here, although coordinate, it may not be that Thursday, depending on what the scheduling is for bringing in, I don't know, different items that the construction company's going to have to bring in. And then I think the start date is going to be June 17th. The official start date is going to be June 17th. That's going to be for Joel Barlow Drive. It will be closed off to the public at certain times, with the exception of the neighbors, maybe. Gina is going to contact all the people on Barlow Drive and keep them updated in terms of what's happening and when it's happening, and how we're going to work things for getting them in and out of their property when we're doing those things. There will still be programs run during the summer here, so we will have designated area in the back of the school for students and teachers. They are not to park anywhere else, and we may have them coming in on Meeker and not through Barlow Drive. But the school will be posting signs. The A&J Construction will be closing off certain areas of the property. The tennis courts will be off limits, I think, starting
June 3rd.
June 5th, I think.
Oh, before the end of school, the tennis
Right.
courts and the track.
And the track. And then they will have some presence prior to June 17th to paint some lines and do some planning for staging of some of the equipment and supplies. And then all work should be substantially done by September 15th. There'll be various dates for some of the projects, but that's the goal, to be done by then.
But most of it by August 15th.
August 15th.
August 15th.
September 15th is the tennis courts only, but everything else was August 15th.
Yeah, we don't want to
Yes.
worry our viewers. We'll be open for business
We'll
on
be
the
open
first
for
day of school.
Yes.
August 15th for the
But
track.
it's the
Everybody will be
Barlow
welcome
it's the tennis
Drive.
courts.
Pine
But
Tree.
there'll be a punch list that will need to be completed regardless of the end dates that we have listed, but those will not be, there'll be more, they won't be safety items, they'll be just, putting a cap on this or tidying these things up. And then, I think that's it. Anything else, Gina?
No, I think it will just be getting the word out that we'll be parking in the back. We'll close the front parking lot to allow the trucks and materials to be there. And
So I know you kind of said it, but just to reinforce, we've retained Gale's services to provide oversight for the project. So they will be keeping an eye on all phases of construction. They will meet, as we said, weekly, but the building committee will keep an eye on Gale, and general public will keep an eye on the building committee, and I think we should have enough layers that we're confident that we can do this project to the highest quality industry standards and get everything done the timeline that we established.
And we established that Scott would be the primary contact for the school administration. So any issues that we're having should go through Gail. So if the neighbors are, or through Scott, so if the neighbors are having any questions about what's going on, they should contact Scott as opposed to asking the contractors to do something for them. And then I think that that's it. And it'll be an ongoing process, and we'll be monitoring it, and we will have to make some adjustments for billing and payments, so we'll have to approve those things at meetings. I assume that the building committee will need to approve the invoices, and then I don't think it's necessary for the Fields and Facilities Committee to approve the invoices, but then we'll bring them to the board, and they have to be approved by the board before they're paid.
You wanna-
Yeah, I just wanted to say for the vast audience out there that it seems so long ago, but only a couple weeks ago, basically, was the referendum that approved all this. So we thank the voters.
Absolutely.
We're going to get a lot done in a very short time. It's all, badly needed or worse. So it's a good thing all around.
Right. And to Paul's point about invoices, I think we're on 45-day pay cycles, but just so board members are aware, we may need to hold a special meeting at some point during the summer. I'm not anticipating it now, but it certainly is something that could happen because we want to keep everything moving on track.
We'd like to pay them on time and anticipate things going smoothly.
So in the committee's first meeting, or I guess after the referendum passed, was there anything that changed in the scoping or nothing? It's really
No, it was
within our contingency that was previously established?
Yes, nothing has changed. It was basically a pre-construction meeting, which is kind of typical, where you meet the representatives from the companies and kind of set your, kind of ground rules and expectations and stuff. So, but no, the scope has not changed, and we do not anticipate it changing at this time.
There was one slight issue in that the amount that we were asking for had to be rounded to a certain amount, which wasn't the exact, because to bond it, it has to be a certain number. So that's well within a contingency, so it won't cause any issues. But to your point, that's the only thing,
Okay.
but it wasn't material.
And then has the building committee established yet the frequency of meetings, of probably just time stuff right
haven't.
before the board meeting, or you haven't gotten there yet?
The frequency of
Well,
board?
Of the committee,
Oh, the committee
of the
meetings.
review over
Well, we'll
whatever
probably,
mechanism you have to.
we will probably coincide them with field and facilities meetings.
Smart.
But you're already on the calendar, right?
Well,
No,
we have
we'll
four.
have to schedule some.
Oh, you have to put more?
Yes, we will have
Okay.
to schedule more.
Got it. Well, enjoy your summer. So,
Thank you.
it's gonna be fun.
Okay. And it's also important, I think, to thank those members of the committee that they've put in a lot of time and work on this, so, thank you to everybody
thank
who's
you.
been involved. Okay, we are on to item E, which is policy review, our second reading. And this is the policy you should have in your packet, 5141.213, which is administering medication, the use of Narcan. Everyone's had this now for a while. I assume everyone has reviewed it, but I will turn to Maureen and see if the policy committee has any
No
red
additional
flags
comments.
or any comments on this policy?
There are no additional comments, it's a necessary policy.
Okay.
It's a necessary policy, and it's what most police departments and emergency responders have available, so we're just cutting time frame, saving a life.
Well, we fast-tracked this, I think, because we feel it's very necessary, and so, you know.
Just cutting the time frame to save a life. When our nurses are telling us they need something, that's
No,
something. So,
without a doubt. And I have received no comments or remarks from anybody, so, with that, does someone want to make a motion to accept policy 5141?
Before you do that, there's a weird little typo. Sorry.
Well, we
Where
could
is there
do
a
that
typo?
with the
Okay.
discussion, right? Does someone want to make a motion?
The 10.
That's,
I make a
that's
motion
meant to
that
be
we,
10.
we accept the
So Paul moves that
policy,
we accept policy 5141.213.
possibly with
And,
minor change.
and Vance seconds it, that we approve it as corrected.
And you would like to change the I to the number 1 on the bottom of the first page, is that?
We assume that it's 10 breaths.
And breaths.
Under drug
It's-
overdose in that paragraph.
Yeah, you're right about the other.
Okay, 10 breaths per minute, yes. And also the I under type,
Right.
the 1.
That could just be a scanning or whatever it is, but, okay.
Okay? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. I covered up my agenda. Here I am. Okay. We are on to item 7, reports, administrative reports. And we will start with Gina.
Well, thank you. We didn't have a student comment, a student section, but I do want to say that the word is out that the board is interested in students and presentations, and they are coming to me. I am no longer soliciting students
awesome.
to
That's
speak
awesome.
to. So I just wanted you to get that feedback, and we will try to keep them short, and because I know they're such important business, but they are your customers, and they are so pleased with the support that they're getting. So I really appreciate that, and
They
Everyone
need
wants
the
to be a
ability to
TV
have the
star.
broader audience, the broader audience is not just us.
yes, this is true, and to share their work, and they're very proud of what they have done. We have our awards night is coming up on the 30th of May, and we would love to see you there. It's in the auditorium at 7. Our end of the year activities are on the calendar. You'll also see in the student comment, in the noteworthy news, we had some students that had some significant recognition, and one of them is Annika Morgan. She presented her project, if you recall,
Yes.
here. She went on to compete internationally in Arizona. She missed the senior prom. But she actually placed in that competition, and she won she was one of the 22 best in category recipients. And it was quite an experience. She wrote me a very lengthy email about the experience and how magnificent it was. Dr. Nuzzo, who was her mentor here, AP chemistry teacher, flew there to give her support. And of course, as only Dr. Nuzzo could do, networked. And we've got some people that are going to come to Barlow or this area to talk about patents and how to, so it's very exciting. And it reaches, there's a lot of great outreach in that. As part of that, best in category, the school is given a grant by the Intel Foundation, and we get $1,000 to be gifted to the chemistry program. So I do have a write-up for that, because I think even though it wasn't a grant we sought, but it was something that a student earned as part of the competition, that the board should be aware and accept that. So if you keep that in mind, because we had more good news, which was the Sikorsky STEM Challenge, and I know that Tom, Jen, and I actually all got to go to see our Sikorsky STEM Challenge team compete there, and the competition there was to build a program and to have successfully navigate a flight pattern course. So the students had to develop the controls and the program, and then they had to actually fly that program. And it was a helicopter through an obstacle course. Owen, who you met earlier, was one of our pilots, one of our people there presenting. The team did incredibly well, and we won $10,000 in software to be given to us, and this is real software that Sikorsky is using to train their pilots. You would be so proud of these students. So at the competition, I'm watching all of these schools, many of them private schools. We talk about we are the best private public school that is out there. So many of these schools are all lined up, and the students are working either on computer controls or little joysticks. And then you have our Barlow team. They're kicked back in a chair that had this arm that came out that was fully adjustable because it's such a delicate maneuver. And I think that design really won them. I mean, when you saw it, did you see all the competitions? It was incredible. And so they won this software. So I have the write-up for that, and you can pass that down. That gives you a little bit more information on the Intel Foundation Award and the Lockheed Martin simulator software. Our STEM Challenge team, Sikorsky Challenge team, came in second overall. There are many pieces of that. They won that piece of the competition. They will go on, though, to compete again in the next round, and we'll keep you posted on their process, on their progress.
Okay, so the software, that's going to be obviously kept here at the school, and this is something that we can use in the future with students next year and the like, yes?
Yes, and we're even thinking, JT is considering, how do we incorporate it in other classes as well? So something in physics might be wonderful if you're looking at some of that. We have a flight tech course, we have robotics, it could be something that just students who are interested in this might spark their interest using this software.
Okay. So does someone want to make a motion that we move to accept the simulator software from Sikorsky, the Sikorsky STEM Challenge?
So moved. And direct Gina to send a letter of thanks.
Seconded.
Seconded by Maureen. Any further discussion?
I will say, I recently attended it was more of a business economic forum that was sponsored by a trade association in the state, right, intended to keep remote, it was a different context, not education. But one of the keynote speakers was the CEO of Sikorsky, right, and he spoke about the actual need for STEM in the classroom, and not necessarily in the traditional college setting, but actually more from a manufacturing component. And one of the things that was very interesting was that they really had, at least in his speech, he expressed an interest in companies in Connecticut to try to work with schools at the guidance counselor level to engage, more schools within the state to actually, infuse some more practical or manufacturing type skills into the STEM curriculum. So hopefully at some point in the future, as the company decides to outreach, or maybe other companies are doing that will be the benefit of it. But I just thought to pass it along because it was a good context and tie into this. So maybe more to come for us.
I'd just like to express, number one, congratulations to the students who earned us this award, and thank you to the students who earned us this award. And thank you for going out there and getting this valuable software for us. So,
Yes.
And as an aside, I'd be interested in, and this doesn't necessarily have to occur now, in being able to contact the students who won the Normark Community College Science Fair Award.
Yes.
That is my son's area of research, and I'm sure that that would dovetail really well, because that's exactly what he's doing. So I'd be interested, he could perhaps help them, maybe some co-mentoring opportunities there. So if I could have their email, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Also, would someone like to make a motion to accept the $1,000 grant awarded by the Intel Foundation,
Yes.
recognition of Annika Morgan's,
So moved. Nicely put. there.
Second.
so it's been moved and it's been seconded by Mr. Coppinger, is that what your little, okay. Is there any further discussion, input on that?
Congratulations to the students, it's a wonderful thing. And if Gina could, again, send a letter of thanks to the Intel Foundation and thank them for us.
And Annika Morgan.
Yeah, thank Annika as well.
It was very impressive.
That's phenomenal
Heard it here
outcome.
first.
Out of that 1,800 students to have that kind of result, that is excellent.
Yeah, you
That's
look at those
excellent.
odds, yeah.
Maybe some pictures from the prom or something, you know.
Do you know, she made her dress for the prom, and, because she also
Oh,
is an amazing artist, and when she had the opportunity to compete in Arizona, she altered the dress to fit her friend, and her friend wore the dress.
Her friend is very grateful, very, very grateful.
We know her friend. Just beautiful, yeah. We have great kids and families.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Stephanie?
Yay. Yay.
Vote?
We voted, didn't we?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun here. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Sorry. I was so, Tom's kicking me under the table to go faster, so I just, I'm sorry.
Keep taking
Stephanie?
So I'll go quickly. My report this month is an update to the legislative mandate that requires all public school districts to provide specific instruction on genocide generally, and more specifically, the Holocaust. So we have been working over the course of the year to engage in revisions. The most progress has probably been made at the middle school level, where we talked a lot about how to work this into current units of study across 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, as opposed to making it sort of a standalone unit. Sadly, genocide does come up as a current event, so that part of it is dynamic. But they will bring Holocaust instruction specifically into social studies classrooms in 6th grade. In the past, it was taught often as connected to a study of literature in an English language arts class. That the state really would like us to have that instruction taught by social studies teachers. So at Barlow, we know students have a number of elective courses, and certainly Mad Men as Hero is an example. We will be continuing revisions at Barlow so that we're more confident that it's an assured experience at some point during the 9 through 12 time period. So the geography course in 10th grade, as an example. So I've been working with Angela Starin, and the revisions have started. When they're in a more completed form, then I'll come back and share that with you. But wanted to provide that update.
Thank you.
Can I just jump in on that? I'm aware of the fact this was raised at the CES Representative Council a couple of weeks ago, that unfortunately legislatures have a tendency to impose mandates, and there have been an unusual number of ideas, and I'm not taking away from this particular idea, but it has sort of opened the door for, well, let's mandate this kind of course, and let's mandate this kind of course, and let's do that. Now, we don't know what the outcome of all these proposals are, but what's interesting and sad is that while those mandates are there, there's still only 50 credits, right? So nobody mandates what's to to substitute for something else. And, it's really appalling to hear those kinds of reports. There's got to be a better way to handle all this stuff.
Yeah, I agree that it's an appallingly long list of mandates
Yeah.
that we receive every year, and we are certainly responsible to compliance. There are some trainings that we are expected to provide that I just logically, I think, what are the chances that a classroom teacher is going to require that type of training? I mean, it's a long list. This mandate, I think that we absolutely see value in this, and I think we're being thoughtful in our curriculum visions, and we're taking our time. Frankly, it should have been in place as of September 1, which frankly would have been impossible because we just received it over the summer. So, the letter of the law is that we provide it sometime during the school experience. It doesn't say it has to be in a course that all students take.
Right, and
The spirit of the law is certainly
Kindergarten.
that all students are going to.
And if it's implemented in a way that accommodates flexibility and ways to adapt existing curriculum to incorporate this, but that's not always what comes out.
Right, you're absolutely right.
And what comes out is often put together by people who don't know what the heck they're talking about. So, anyway, thank you for letting me.
Yeah, sadly, there aren't many Holocaust survivors that are still alive to share their stories. So the state actually has done a decent job of providing different resources, and I know a number of our teachers have gone to trainings actually up at CES and have heard sort of local Holocaust survivors speak, and trying to set up connections so that perhaps we could bring that person to our schools.
Yeah, and just to be clear, my remarks were not aimed at any particular idea. It was just at the process that essentially makes life very, very difficult for all of us, and especially, those responsible directly for curriculum.
It would be perhaps appropriate for me to say, this week we heard that the state will be requiring us to develop an elective program, elective course in African American and Hispanic American history. So that'll be something we'll be developing and bringing to the curriculum committee. It's elective, not required, but another course to put into the program, which, again, individually, all these ideas are terrific. It's the cumulative impact that we need to think about.
A couple of follow-up questions with regard to the curriculum, you brought up curriculum committee, Tom. Is this something that we need to talk, I mean, there's no decision that needs to be made, but is this something
No.
that we should add on the curriculum committee's agenda just for the awareness? Or it sounds like we're just going to put this curriculum into World Geo, which we still will have, but we may not have Madman as hero,
When
right?
our curriculum is further, when the revisions are further along, I think I will reach out to make contact so that we can make this an agenda item for the curriculum committee.
Okay.
If not to formally approve, at least to have the discussion and gather more information about how it fits into the existing courses that we offer here. So I think Easton and Reading boards will be ready to do that next month. There's a little bit more work that still needs to be completed, and we're all out of early dismissal days. But I think for the high school, we need a bit more time.
I'm just going to tell you about that course, and we just knocked it off, so.
Okay. We're on to item B, which is Board of Education Committee reports. We'll start down at Todd and work our way up.
A couple of committee meetings since our last regular board meeting. So the Food Services Committee met to discuss renewal of the current vendor. Their contract is on a one-year renewal basis. So they'll be bringing that up at the tri-board meeting next week for further discussion. So no action, just information for our board that will be coming up for all three of the boards to renew the food service vendor.
So
And then-
sorry,
Yeah.
can you explain that a little further? Because I know year before last or something, we got into some difficulties because there wasn't enough vendors that were in, and that when we went out to bid for a new, and then I thought basically, our current vendor is the only one that really wants it. But, so, are you talking about extending the current contract to approve the next year of the existing contract that's in place?
Correct.
Okay,
So
just,
Out to bid to the
We don't have-
3 vendors that are out there.
right, but we have to do that, what, every 5 years or
5 years.
something like that? But this is just the renewal of the next year of the current contract
We meet with them
approval.
and go through the results of the survey, and any other things that they're interested in providing. We go through the list of what was purchased out of the money that comes in from the food program, the excess, what equipment that was replaced and so forth. So I believe they'll report all that back in next week in the tri-board meeting as well. But yeah, we look at all those kind of things on the food service committee every year with them.
Okay, great.
And then audit committee also met, and there were only a couple items on there. We didn't quorum, but the only things we really look at this point in the year is through the student activities funds. So Loretta's done a great job working through that list. We were somewhere, we had north of 300 and some activity funds, and now we're down into close to 200 maybe, somewhere in that range. So these are basically, so it's a much cleaner list now. We have context for all the lists, so this is everything from the class funds to the clubs. So everything that's on there, understanding what money is responsible for, and it's not being used, getting rid of it so that we're not in the business of being a bank and holding on to that money for the groups. So we did go through that, and we also looked at a letter that's being sent out to the classes, informing them as they look to set up these funds, that they have 5 years to make a decision on what they want to do after they pass their first 5-year reunion. What do they want to do with the money? So again, we're not holding on to funds for the classes for a long period of time, which is what was happening in the past. And then finally, the auditor's there, and we talked through their preparation for the audit, which would start over the summer. And as soon as things wind down here with graduation and so forth, they'll start teeing that up and getting into the audit process.
Questions for Tom? No? Okay, Cheryl, did you have?
How come you get to have all the fun?
Well, first, I'm sorry, Todd, I couldn't make the audit committee meeting, so that was the reason why he had no quorum. But the curriculum committee meeting, we're trying to schedule a meeting for June to pick up weighted grading. Again, right, the board had charged, if anyone, I think everyone was at the last meeting where we discussed this, but the charge was to have the committee go back and look at options for weighted grading, because we couldn't come to consensus on the ones that were presented. So we're taking another look at that, trying to schedule it so that we can have the committee meeting in advance of the next board meeting on June 18th. So Maureen, Vance, Chris, look out for a note try to get some dates together based on calendar stuff. So, but more to come on that. And then I think, not a committee item per se, but Tom and I will be joining, Gina and Henry Delangelo had been part of a fellowship at Yale for a couple of years. I'm probably going to not get the exact gist of what we've been working on, but there's going to be a presentation at Yale tomorrow, and Tom and myself will be attending, so I'm looking forward to it, and then we'll probably discuss afterwards how that gets into our curriculum, and then maybe just actually ask the administration to just do a quick recap for the curriculum committee as well, so that we can understand how that continuing ed affects or improves our education. So that's it.
And there's a joint budget and curriculum next.
Oh, that's right, thank you. That's on the May 28th?
28th.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a joint
That's a
budget.
reminder.
Yeah, I got that on my calendar. I'm good.
Fields and facilities, we met today. We talked already about the campus improvement, which is about probably half the meeting. The other thing we talked about was an update on the permit process at Barlow here, and Gina and Walter have updated us on the progress they're making, talking with the building department and zeroing in on all the issues, open permits and open COs and things, and addressing that, and we'll, I think there's an inspection scheduled for the 28th. And so we're moving forward on that. And then there are further discussions on the capital plan and revising that again. So Scott's away this week, so I will meet with Scott and try to refine the list and come up with, refine the priorities as well. And so we'll have more to discuss at our next meeting. And then we'll have to have a new Fields and Facilities Committee meeting. The first project meeting is going to be June 17th, I think, which is going to be, again, the start of the project, official start of the project, at least on Barlow Drive. So we'll probably have to meet around then, but seeing that it's the same group, we'll probably might need something sooner so that we can get the building committee up and running and select the chairman for that. So I guess because I'm on the FSC and the chairman, I'll talk to Scott and schedule a date for that, and we can all meet, and then choose a chairman.
Yeah, I don't know that we need a chair for the building committee.
No, I think every
But,
committee
I
has
mean,
a
we
chair.
can, huh? Well, yeah, we can talk about, but, no, we can choose a chair, that's fine. Because we had talked about maybe designating a rep that was gonna be from the building committee that's gonna go and attend many of the field meetings and yada, yada, yada. But we can
We'll work it out.
certainly work that stuff out. Okay, bands, any
Todd says
exciting
he's
meetings?
going to bring breakfast for it.
Nice.
No meetings, I'm looking forward to a rockin' joint meeting between curriculum and budget. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna-
Yeah.
And I want to figure out a way to combine pension and facility. No, I have no report.
Or we could just have more board meetings, which I know no one wants, right?
If you wanna ruin facilities and fields, you'll join up.
Policy, anything from
Policy is working diligently to find a next meeting time, hopefully the next month or so.
Okay, we are on to our final opportunity for public comment. If you would like to make a public comment, please come to the podium and stand at the microphone and wave to all your friends at home on TV and make your comment.
Yeah.
State your name.
Please.
Hi, I'm Sandy O'Reilly. Thank you all for the work that you have done this year to make it such a great place for our students. While I may not come to every meeting, I want you to know that I silently work behind the scenes to support you. So I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right? Thank you. Because I know it's not easy. You may or may not know that the boys' tennis team secured the Southwest Conference tournament for the first time in 18 years the other afternoon. Was it just yesterday? I'm sorry.
Just yesterday.
So it's very exciting. And so when you mentioned the tennis courts, my ears just perked up. I wasn't quite clear. It wasn't quite clear to me. Are you using the tennis courts for storage during construction?
No, the tennis
No, they're
courts
getting
will be
redone.
repaired.
No pain, no gain. We gotta
Whew.
So exciting.
All right, I just wanted to
We're removing the
clarify.
decorative lines through them that may resemble cracks.
Thank you.
Side of the building's available, though, to hit the ball against. Okay. Public comment.
There's no other public.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing, and I'm looking at it, and I'm, sorry, board member comment.
Board member, again, I just appreciate having the students come and present, so thanks for the Robotics and Programming Club, and we'll see if I can get Gabby to come present something else.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Cheryl?
I just want to thank everyone, the board. It was a pleasure working with you all again on another budget season, administration, and thank you for the public for passing the budget, the referendum
First
for the
go.
bond and for the operating budget. So I'm glad, I was pleased
One
that
and
that
done.
passed.
Paul?
Congratulations to all the students who won awards over the, last meeting. I think that's wonderful. And that's it.
Vance?
Yeah, keep those student presentations coming. They're great.
Good, I'm glad you like it.
Yes?
I agree with everything so far.
Maureen?
I agree. I think the student presentations really add a new dimension to our meetings, and you should keep them coming.
Gwen?
I heard that. Worth it. What are we gonna do with that medal?
Well, I thought about putting it around my neck, but it says Destination Deep Space, and I was like,
We're all for that.
deep space.
See what happens.
Okay. Someone want to make the
Make a
motion?
motion
You've
that
been,
we adjourn.
there's a motion. Is there a
Second.
second?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
What a record.
See that?
Well done.